Good morning. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Hudson. My name is Marilyn Orr, President of the club, and we are thrilled to have you join us today. This meeting broadcast is available on HCTV, as well as our Rotary of Hudson YouTube channel and Facebook. Our club meets weekly using this digital platform, Zoom. When we meet in person, it's at Laurel Lake Retirement Community for breakfast. We hope to get back to that soon. We meet most Wednesday mornings from 7:15 to 8:30 a.m. So come out to join us for a meeting. We would love to have you as a guest. To learn more about Rotary, our club, and the impact we are having on our local community and the world, please visit our website, rotaryhudson.org. So enjoy this meeting today and help us share the message that Rotary opens doors of opportunity.
Good morning, everyone, Rotarians and guests joining us this morning on Zoom. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Hudson. I'm Ron Strobel, the Sergeant at Arms, and our invocation this morning is by Kelly Brennan. Are you there, Kelly?
You will need to unmute. There we go.
I unmuted. Sorry, guys. I don't think any of us would disagree that 2020 has been somewhat of a challenging year and to some degree, maybe even a little challenging for those of us that are in Rotary. So I have a poem I'm going to recite. It is a poem that was written by a young woman named Mary Fry. It is an unpublished, uncopyrighted poem. In fact, she wrote it, she was an orphan. She wrote it on the back of a lunch sack for a friend whose mother who had passed away. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I'm not there. I do not sleep. I'm in 1,000 winds ablow. I'm in the softly falling snow. I'm the gentle showers of rain. I'm the fields of ripening grain. I'm the morning hush. I'm the graceful rush of beautiful birds in circling flight. I'm the starshine of each night. I'm the flowers that bloom. I'm the quiet in the room. I'm the birds that sing. I'm each lovely thing. Don't stand by my grave and cry. I'm not there. I do not die. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Kelly. Very nice. And lead us in the pledge and the four-way test this morning, Donna Kastner.
Everyone join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And on to the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, Donna. And now our president, Marilyn Orr.
Good morning, Rotarians. Let's start with some good news. Rotarian Ben Rexroad had a complex surgery yesterday, and it was long, more than 9 hours, but Sandy reports that it was successful, and the surgeons felt that a new cardiac valve was not needed. So please continue to pray for his complete and rapid recovery. There will be a club board meeting immediately following this Zoom session, and all club members are welcome to attend. I want to remind everyone that the Fall Scholarship Donation Drive is currently underway. And when your dues were sent earlier this month, the dues statement, you also should have received a flyer about the donation drive. Remember that this is a safe and healthy substitute for the rose and popcorn sales that we would have traditionally done, and that past President Tom Page would have chaired for the past few years. We hope to wrap this all up by the end of the month. Now, our club has a tradition of awarding at least 5 scholarships to graduating high school students, and that's pretty impressive. I know we're very, very proud of our support of Hudson youth, and so please consider making a generous donation to keep that tradition alive. Right now, I'd like Evan to please unmute.
Good morning.
Good morning. Evan was appointed to the position of representing our club with the district on all matters related to the Rotary International Foundation. He took that job seriously, and he has been working hard, coordinating something very special. Evan, take it away.
Well, thank you, President Marilyn, and good morning, fellow Rotarians. Hope everyone is doing well this morning. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here recognizing some amazing Rotarians this morning. We're talking about the Rotary Foundation and the Paul Harris Fellow honoree. So I've got my screen shared. Can everyone see that okay?
We can see it, Evan.
Perfect, perfect. So to kick us off real quick, we're going to go through just our club and some brief statistics on where our giving is. So contributions year to date, $1,840. Generally, on a full Rotary calendar year, we're between $3,000 and $4,000 annually. Per capita, currently at $31 a person, compared to our district, which is at $25 a person. Typically, we're at about $70 on the year, where the district is average per person about $100. Currently, 31 of us are participating in the Rotary Foundation giving programs. 24 of us have decided, hey, you know, this is a great cause and we're going to give $100 a year. Those are our EREY, or Every Rotarian Every Year members. Paul Harris Society, we have 1 member. We'll talk about that here in just a moment this morning. And looking up some interesting statistics, Marilyn, getting prepared for my presentation this morning. But Marilyn, Paul Harris Fellows in Hudson since 1973, 95. Quick trivia for you. When did the Paul Harris Fellow recognition begin?
1973?
Close, very close. I saw that and I'm thinking, you know, that is, you know, on the timeline pretty close. However, maybe that's just when the reporting started. I'm not sure. So looking into it, it was pretty close. It was 1969 is the year that the Paul Harris Fellow recognition began. So since 1973, there are 95 Hudson Rotarians in history that have achieved the Paul Harris Fellow status. So what that means to me is, in just 5 more, you could be the 100th Hudson Rotarian to achieve Paul Harris Fellow status if you are not part of this club already. So that's my first plug today in terms of boosting our Rotary Foundation giving. And currently, our members, out of our current membership, there's 25 Paul Harris Fellows. So we're going to be introducing 3 new Paul Harris Fellows today, and also recognizing a special level of giving, like I mentioned earlier. So Paul Harris, he's the founder of Rotary in 1905. He was a club president in Chicago in 1907. The first president of Rotary International in 1910. And again, starting in 1969, the recognition started out and still today is at $1,000 of giving to the Rotary Foundation programs. So a certificate and a pin is awarded to all of our honorees, and it looks like President Marilyn had some fun over the past couple of weeks, or probably just a couple of weeks. And President Marilyn actually delivered the certificates and pins to our honorees. So congratulations, Marilyn. I thought that was an awesome thing. And I think it's really special that even though we can't be with everyone today in person, we have pictures of the recipients receiving their awards. So thank you, Marilyn, for going out and meeting with everyone to do that. So we've got Dan Filburn, which last I checked, I didn't see him on the Zoom call this morning. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. We've got Allison Feaster. I saw her on Zoom this morning. Hi, Allison. Lynn Zupp. Lynn, I don't know if Lynn's with us this morning,
No,
but I didn't see her.
work obligations today.
Okay, makes sense. Well, Lynn is our third honoree, or our second honoree, and Marilyn Orr is also a new Paul Harris Fellow. Congratulations, Marilyn. And Tom Tobin, he is our Paul Harris Fellow Society member, our one and only, and he's achieved a Paul Harris Fellowship +3. And I saw Tom on the call this morning, so congratulations, Tom. So the, sorry, bear with me one moment. So I'm just gonna go through a quick presentation just so that we can be super official. I see Ron giving me the dirty eye, and I need to go through some official Rotary International verbiage here. So I'm gonna go through our quick presentation this morning brought to you by Rotary International. So the presentation of Paul Harris Fellow is the Rotary Foundation's way of expressing its appreciation for a substantial contribution to its humanitarian and educational programs. We move closer to a world of peace and goodwill today as Dan Filburn, Allison Feaster, Marilyn Orr, and Tom Tobin become Paul Harris Fellows. Their gifts to the Rotary Foundation's educational and humanitarian programs are a commitment to peace and to a better life for people across the world whom we may never meet. This is truly a selfless action. It is because of gifts like yours that the Rotary Foundation is able to carry out an array of programs that achieve beneficial changes in our world. Improved living conditions, increased food production, better education, wider availability of treatment and rehabilitation for the sick and disabled, new channels for the flow of international understanding, and brighter hopes for peace. In becoming a Paul Harris Fellow, Dan, Allison, Marilyn, and Tom join a remarkable company of persons throughout the world, all recognized for their devotion to the ideal of goodwill, peace, and understanding. It gives me great pleasure that Marilyn already presented you with the emblems of appreciation given to a Paul Harris Fellow, their certificates and pins. We congratulate you and we thank you for your commitment to the programs of the Rotary Foundation. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Marilyn. And thank you, Tom. Very much appreciate your contributions and congratulations for achieving that recognition level. In closing, I mentioned recognition level. So our club has a special program that's in place. Basically, every dollar that a Rotarian contributes to the Rotary Foundation, they receive 1 point, which they can give to another Rotarian to help boost them in terms of their Paul Harris Fellow recognition. So our club contribute $500 to the foundation. We have a long list of devoted Rotarians that are ready and willing to give you 500 points to match that and to boost you up to the Paul Harris Fellow status. So thank you, special thanks today to Phil Tobin. He contributed 500 points for Dan, 500 for Allison, and Joe Zapatowski, 500 points to Lynn Zupp. And I had some points accumulated, and just being a past president of the club and working with Marilyn on the foundation piece of it this year, I wanted to award her the 500 points. So I was able to do that. So thank you to Phil and Joe, and thank you to all of the other Rotarians that are ready and willing to sign those transfer forms once the rest of us get to that level. So I look forward to recognizing many more of you and getting a lot more of these points transferred over. Take advantage of this match. One way that we take advantage of the match is through Rotary Direct. This is an easy program that you can set up. It basically is an automated giving. So I have it set up where it automatically bills, I think, $10 or $20 from my credit card each month, and I can log in online and easily customize that and change that, increase it if I want to, or decrease it, change the program that I'm giving to. It's very easy to really manage your own contributions, which is a very nice feature. And lastly, in closing, I mentioned 25 of us are currently Paul Harris Fellows. So welcome to the club, to the new folks today, but thank you for your continued contributions, everyone on this list here. And I mentioned Paul Harris Society, that's a recurring Paul Harris Fellowship every year. So that's $1,000 contribution to the foundation. Joe Zapatowski, Paul Harris Fellow +8. Thank you to Bill Libby and Tom for reaching Paul Harris Fellow +3. Then Rich, you're at Paul Harris Fellow +2. Thank you for achieving that level. Our Paul Harris Fellow +1, Stu Murray, Ralph Day, Phil Tobin, Bill Woldridge, George Snyder, Pat Shearer, Ron Strobel, Joe Avella, Rich Warfield. Thank you for your continued commitment to the programs of the Rotary Foundation. And Paul Harris Fellows, Jim Young, Ben Rexroad, Tom Page, rest in peace. I couldn't take his name off of this list today. He was part of the reporting, and we all miss him very dearly. So wanted to include Tom on the list today. Thank you, Tom. James Field, Donna Kastner, Catherine Sines, Mike Swain, Allison Feaster, Lynn Zupp, Dan Filburn, Marilyn Orr, welcome to the club today. Congratulations to everyone, to our club, for doing a great job. And with that, I will pass the Zoom back to you, President Marilyn.
Okay, here we go. Now, I think you all know I've been a member of 4 clubs. It was Evan who made this possible today because he did the research to pull the donations in from those other clubs that put me over the top. I kind of suspected that during a course of about 20 years that I'd probably given enough. I just never had really sought the recognition. And so thank you very much, Evan. I'm very, very pleased. I'm very pleased. Okay.
Thank
John,
you.
I'm going to ask John to unmute, and we're going to get started with today's program.
All right, good morning, Rotarians. Happy Veterans Day to those veterans that have served our country and that are our fellow Rotarians. And in light of the occasion, we took a different angle with our speaker this morning. There are many veterans that we don't realize are veterans, but yet continue to serve us every day in their duty. And I just thought, with the state of affairs, and you can take that phrase to mean anything you want it to be, but I thought it would be a really good idea if we tied in the Hudson Police Department into our presentation this morning. And we have a small video because, you know, we see these officers doing their job with honor in our community and making the community that we all love to call home. But we don't really know their stories and the service that they've given to our country. So I'm first going to start with a small video that I thank them for putting together for us. And then I have Officer Jim Curtin on standby. He's been very polite to be hanging out into our Zoom call, waiting for his cue if you will. So if you give me 1 second to align our technology here, that would be great. So, okay, here we go.
I think you may have to share the sound.
My name's John Dean.
You know what?
Police officer of the city.
Can you tell me how to do that?
I believe it's in the settings. Hang on here. Video settings.
Go to your microphone, and I think you have to be able to switch to, or do you have it on computer audio, John?
I am on computer audio, yes.
Same as system?
I could do that. I was doing microphone, but I could do same as system.
Try that.
Okay.
Hudson. I've been here since the year 2000.
Anything there?
A little bit.
A little bit? Huh.
I know I have to use external speakers whenever I pop up a video, so I don't know.
All right. So James, I could email this to you if you'd like, and you can try and edit the audio on it. But
Okay. Why don't you do that? And I will see if I can get that going.
Hey guys, one quick tip. When you go to share your screen, right before you do so, like you click share screen and another box shows you all the opportunities, and there's a small checkbox that says use computer audio or something about audio. Check that box before you actually share.
so James, what's your email?
JDFIELD23.
I'm sorry, say J what?
JD Field, JDFIELD 23 at AOL.com.
Just send it to you.
Okay, we'll see if we can get this going.
All right, Donna, you're telling me maybe?
Yeah, if James is going to be the one sharing it. Whoever's going to share their screen to do this, you'd have to, John, you'd have to come out of this
Okay.
and then share again. So stop sharing and then hit share again. And before you actually click the button to start the sharing, there's a checkbox at the bottom of your screen.
Share computer sound.
Yep, click that one and see if that helps.
Let's see.
Prior to that, I served 6 years.
Got it?
Yes, it's working.
Donna, you can never leave, ever. All right. All right, great. I'm gonna start over again.
Hello, everyone. On this Veterans Day, I wanted to say thank you for your service to our country. That includes the men and women who served in uniform, those of you who supported a military service member, and of course, to those of you who lost a family or friend in combat during their service. My name's John Dean. I'm a police officer with the city of Hudson. I've been here since the year 2000. Prior to that, I served 6 years in the United States Army Reserve as a military police officer. My experience in the military helped prepare me for this job here in law enforcement. The oaths of office were similar. I raised my right hand to protect the Constitution, protect the lives of the people in this country, and I've done so here in the city of Hudson. The people, the friends that I've made, as most of you know who served, will last forever. It's an honor to speak with you here today. I hope in the future, maybe we can meet after this pandemic is over and you can share some of the stories that you'd like to share with each and every one of us. I think they're important to hear, especially in this time in our country. I wish you all the very best. Stay safe, be careful, and God bless. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Walter Shields. I'm a 23-year veteran of the Hudson Police Department. Also, I'm currently serving in the United States Army Reserve as a Chief Warrant Officer too. I started my military services back in 1991 and have been serving ever since. Fourth generation veteran, two grandfathers in World War I, grandfather World War II, and father in Vietnam. I just wanted to say thank you guys for your service because of what you guys did. You guys blazed a strong trail for us to follow through, and you're always in our thoughts and prayers, especially mine. So again, thank you guys very much for your service.
Hi, my name is Joe Berlinger. I've been a police officer for the city of Hudson for just about 1 year now. Prior to that, I was in the United States Air Force on active duty for approximately 8 years, and I'm continuing that service in the Air Force Reserve. That service included even deployments overseas. As one veteran to another, I just wanted to say thank you for your service and thanks for everything you did for our country.
Hello, everybody. My name's Jim Curtin. I'm a Hudson police officer. I've been a Hudson police officer for the last 18 years. Prior to this, I was in the Army Reserve. I spent a year in Iraq in 2003 with the 312 Psychological Operations Unit, and we were attached to the 1st Marine Division up through Nasiriyah and Karbala. One of the best things I've ever done is join the military. I think it's helped shape me to the person I am today, and a lot of carryover from the military fits well with police work. Just wanted to thank you all for your service, your sacrifice, and when all this mess is over, would love to get together and share some stories. You all be safe. Thank you.
All right. So with that, we should have Officer Curtin with us. Can you unmute yourself so you could join me in a conversation, Officer?
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing today?
You've been so nice to sit there and wait for all of us to go through what we have to go through.
Quite all right.
Very nice. So let's start by thanking you for your service, both to our nation and to our city.
I appreciate that very much, and thank you for the invitation to join today.
So, what I just learned in your bio there, you were in Iraq in 2003 in the PSYOPs team, is that?
I was, yeah. We were there for the invasion. We actually, at the time, the Marine Corps didn't have psychological operations. They since have added that as a job for them. So a bunch of Army guys got attached to the Marine Corps, and we actually met up with the Marine Corps in Nasiriyah while they were still fighting for those two bridges at the time. Matter of fact, I was a week behind my unit when we got to Kuwait, and during that week, that's when Jessica Lynch and all those hostages got taken. And when I met up with my unit in Kuwait and we got to Nasiriyah, they had no idea what was going on when they were finally rescued. So it was about the time I was there.
So, and then you've been an officer here in Hudson, is it 18 years? Is that what I saw?
Yeah, just got 18 years at the beginning of this month. So.
Well, thank you for that. That's amazing.
My pleasure.
So Jim, what made you want to go into the military? Tell us how that decision kind of came together for you.
Well, I grew up, I had my dad and two uncles were police officers. It's something I've wanted to be since I was, as long as I can remember. Helped my mom, made it easy for my mom at Halloween, because from like 3 years old till when I stopped going, I was a police officer every year. Part of that, they would always tell me, joining the military would help. In Ohio, you have to be 21 to be a police officer. I was ready to go at 18, but the age wouldn't allow me. So I had like great uncles that served. My dad and grandpa tried to get in. They had some medical issues that didn't let them join. So I actually joined the day before my senior year in 1998. I swore in at MEPS. They called the delayed entry program. I went to my unit for drills and stuff. And then I left for basic a month after I graduated at Fort Leonard Wood, and then
went to Fort Bragg for my job training.
Hmm. So, are you single or are you married, officer?
No, I'm married. I'm actually true veteran fashion. I'm on my second marriage, blended family. We have 5 kids, 2 8th grade girls, 7th grade boy, a 5th grade boy, and then we have baby Ruby. She just turned 2 at the end of October.
5 kids. Wow.
5 kids.
So were you in your first marriage when you went through the military, when you were serving the country abroad?
Yes, I was. We actually we dated in high school and got engaged when I got my orders, and then we came back, and being away from the family was the hardest thing about it. 2003, we were still fighting the Iraqi army, so we didn't have to deal with the insurgency and stuff. We didn't have the creature comforts. You know, it was 60 days between showers for a while and stuff like that, eating MREs every day. But being away from the family was the hardest part of all that.
60 days between showers.
Took my first shower Easter morning in 2003, and I was in country February. So.
You know, I just met you, but I'm kind of glad we're doing this call on Zoom together with you.
Me too. Trust me, I take toilet paper and showers very serious in my house. So.
Crazy. So, so you know what? I guess I mean, gosh, you see what's going on in the news. You hear that you're going to be going over and joining the operations. What kind of support is there for family members, like in this case, your first wife? Because it's hard on you, but I can't imagine the price that those families are paying for those that are in our armed forces. Can you speak about that a little bit?
Yeah, actually, this is my advice. I'm one of the school resource officers. I'm at the high school this year. I rotate with my partner. One of the things I always tell the kids that come up and ask me questions about it is that's one of the bad parts of being in the reserves. If I had to do it back, I'd go back and do it active duty. Being deployed, there's way more support. Your support system is there on base with your family. Your family doesn't have far to go if you have questions. In the reserves, I mean, we had people, one of my team members, he lived in New Hampshire, and he would drive to Ohio for our drill once a month. So like if his family needed something, they would have to come all the way to Ohio to get something done. So it always makes me proud when I see, a community, and Hudson's always been very good about it, taking care of military families. The service and the Red Cross, and they do a great job of supporting. It's just hard with the distance. At the time, my wife, she lived in our apartment in Stowe, right there on the border of Hudson, and all our other people from my unit were all up in Cleveland. So if she needed something, it was kind of a struggle to get it. And you see it more in the reserves and National Guard than you would of active duty, just because active duty, everyone's at the base and stuff like that. It's just harder. And they really do have it. I knew every day, that I was safe and I was alive, but I mean, we were writing letters still. So they would get a letter, I'd write every day, but the letters would be a couple weeks off. So it was just kind of like, back in the day, and the veterans before me, you didn't know how I was until they got another letter. So, it's a struggle.
That was old school, huh? Compared to today?
It was, yeah, and I was lucky. I went in the last year of my contract. I was lucky too. I was actually offered a conditional job of employment at the police department as an officer right before I left. So, to come back and have a job waiting for you, and it's just, I don't know. It was just different.
Yeah. Something that you don't have to answer this if you don't want, but I look at all of you putting your life on the line and serving our country and going into harm's way. What did Uncle Sam compensate you financially for that service?
Well, civilian Jim was in college at the time and learned the wonderful world of credit cards way too soon. And so I got in a little bit of debt. So when I came back, I had basically used all my deployment money to get out of that, while other people were buying motorcycles and stuff like that. The thing is, when you're over there, there's really nothing to spend money on. You know, you get combat pay, you get hazard pay, you get your housing and all that stuff paid, and you know, you got to take care of rent and stuff back home. But I mean, we would get $10 from the bursar, and that would last us 2 months at the PX. So I was only an E4 at the time. It wasn't a whole lot, but because you're not spending it on anything, it saves up pretty quick. So, but still, for a year over in Iraq at an E4, I think it was like 26,000 or something for a whole year. No. But it was all ended up being saved. I don't think I've ever come close to saving anything like that. So maybe I need another vacation over there or something.
So you're telling me a great saving strategy is to enlist and go get a position somewhere. You'll save a bunch of money.
Somewhere you will. Uncle Sam will take care of you. You know.
So how's your health? I mean, after serving our country and all the things, how's your health?
It's good. You know, really the only thing I had wrong when I came back, we have loudspeakers on our trucks, and again, young and dumb, thought I was too strong for earplugs, and I was in the turret with the loudspeaker, so I lost a little bit of hearing in my one ear that the speaker was up against. But other than that, it was okay. We did lose a couple guys to medical retirements. We actually called it the Nazaria death. It was like a stomach bug. It really wasn't death. It just, you were running to latrine, and a couple guys actually got out when we got home, and they're still, you know, struggling with, you know, stomach issues from being over there. And we don't know if it's from the medicine or what, but, or just being over there. But there was like 3 or 4 guys.
I'm going to open it up to questions, but before I do, I'm going to ask you to describe 2 feelings to me.
Okay.
The first feeling is you're on an airplane and you are leaving the United States and you are headed over to that. And then I'm going to ask you about the feeling that you had when you were on an airplane and you were coming home. You were, I don't want to say done, but you were coming back to the United States. Can you describe both of those feelings? Can you take us into that seat with you for a second?
Yeah, absolutely. Like it was yesterday. So a lot of things I didn't learn about. You have to get your equipment over there, and Pope Air Force Base is attached to Fort Bragg. So we had to have load teams, and you help the Air Force load your stuff onto the planes, and then you fly on those planes with your company's equipment over there. So I flew on a big C5. You know, obviously there's some anxiety and, you know, not the unknown. The biggest one was fear, because the Air Force guy came up the big C5, climbed up the stairs up there and looked in and said, "Hey guys, the plane is broken. We're flying into Dover, Delaware." And it's like, okay, you better be on this plane with me. So we ended up spending a week in Dover, and one of the big things from there when we landed was we were there when the first bodies came off the plane of the war, and the reaction of some of the people in there is kind of shocking. Former infantry guys that, you know, kind of didn't lose it but broke down, and it's kind of like, guys, we're going to a war. This happens, and it's a shame. But that was kind of a sobering moment, and that's kind of, it was unexpected, unplanned. So that was kind of what was in my head the whole way over there.
So you saw casualties. Yeah. As you were headed.
When we all saw it on the news, I was watching it live from the waiting area of the airport. And you know, at that point, it was kind of, we knew we were going. We were away from the company. We just wanted to get over there. to get back with the company, and I was really grateful when we did get there and finally linked up. It was almost like seeing your own family, and it was very comforting to know that. So, you know, after a few 2 or 3 months, when Baghdad fell, we kind of got rid of that anxiety and stuff. You're always on edge, but you kind of felt that from when the plane took off to the landed over there. Coming home, there has never been a greater feeling than when we felt those wheels touch down at Cleveland Hopkins. We flew civilian back from Fort Bragg. We weren't allowed to wear uniforms. So the only people that knew we were there were our families waiting for us. And I've never been so glad to feel all the wheels hit the ground of Cleveland Hopkins. It was just like a load off.
Wow. Goosebumps. Goosebumps.
Yeah.
I'm going to open it up to questions, but Officer, I really appreciate you being with us this morning and sharing with us, taking the time to share with us. And, you know, on behalf of me personally, and I'm sure many of us Rotarians, thank you very much for your service, both as a veteran, but also to our fine city of Hudson, Ohio for 18 years. So
happy to do it. Thank you for having me.
I have 2 questions. I have 2. The first is, Officer Curtin, I'd like you to address the concept of band of brothers and the relationships that you established with the people that you worked with and how that has continued on beyond your time of service. The second is, I'd like you to address the importance of mail to you and how often mail was coming in and how they found you wherever you were.
So for the first one, there is definitely a band of brothers, not something I really realized until we went over there. We were a small, Stops is different. We're 3-man teams, but so there were 2 teams. So there were 6 of us that were together every day. And then we'd meet up with the company every once in a while. But to this day, I still keep in touch with them. We might go months without talking, but you know, once we get back together or just call each other up on the phone, it's like we're just leaving the airport yesterday. So I can't explain it, and there's times, there's smells, there's sights that, you know, take me back to when we were just sitting at base, looking up at the stars, drinking pop, listening to the music at the end of the night, you know, when you're just talking with your battle buddies, and it's something that I still hold dear. So and getting the letters were amazing. At the time, so about 6 months into it, we kind of got sketchy internet with a big satellite dish and stuff. But the letters, every Friday we would drive up to Najaf, where the other half of our platoon was, to get our mail. It was actually weird writing letters because we didn't need stamps. So like to put a letter in at the supply sergeant who got it to the wherever, I think it was Khalil Air Force Base, is where the post office had somebody. And then they would find us by our units, the address. So each unit has a specific address, and actually ours changed a couple times because we were different Marine units. So I actually got a bunch of mail that was dated, you know, from the beginning of the war, a couple months after it actually started, because the unit we were with went back home and they took the mail with them, and then they shipped it back to us. So it was always a great thing. Friday was always a great day to go get mail, even if you only got one thing.
Any other questions? Dan?
Yes, I'd like to give another perspective on Jim. Jim, this is Dan Williams. We've been talking about your military time, but as a police officer, he's our liaison to the schools, and he would get together with my wife and myself. We'd go to a 3rd grade classroom and give a presentation. And Jim could do an outstanding job talking to, what were they, seven-year-olds? Well,
yeah,
younger than that.
Yeah.
And he'd put them in the police car and let them ride and see what it was like. And I can tell you that he's just as effective with preschoolers as he was in the military. So Jim, I'd like to thank you again for what you're doing for Hudson.
Well, thank you very much. I miss those brownies.
That's an inside joke. My wife would bake a pan of brownies. We use it as a visual aid. Then after it was done, we take it back to the police station and they'd share the brownies.
I have a question or remark. John?
Sure.
This is Catherine Sines. First of all, thank you for your service, Jim. I just want to say that band of brothers, my husband's a Vietnam veteran. He did 20 years in the military, and he still has that band of guys that he served with in Vietnam. They call him, they touch base once in a while, especially around the holidays or around the date that they came back. And they have a reunion every year, so in a different part of the country. So that band gets stronger, I think, the older you get. Thanks, Jim, for your service.
Thank your husband for his. That's one of the big things that I took away from my deployment. We were over there with a Humvee and a trailer with all our stuff in it, and I remember thinking over there, I had a true appreciation for the veterans before me, because a lot of them just left with a backpack or a sea bag, and that's all they had. And here we are, 3 guys in a Humvee and a trailer pulling all our stuff and trying to make life a little easier. And we definitely had it way nicer because of the veterans before us.
He tells the story that when he came back, when he left Vietnam and came back, he had to change out of his uniform at the airport because of the unrest. So, yeah. Thank you. I miss you.
Miss you too.
I see Joe Zapatowski there. I want to thank him definitely when we interviewed him earlier this year and the service that he's given to our country. And I know there's other veterans probably on the call, but I just see Joe sitting there. I want to recognize him for his service there. But any other questions for Officer Curtin?
So I just, not so much of a question, but just to add what Dan said, Jim is by a distance one of the most popular resource officers we've had in the schools. And maybe, Jim, you could talk about, the connection you've been able to make to students, because some officers are a little off-putting, in that situation, but you've really made a connection. The only other thing I was going to say, I guess I've only seen you with a mask on, so.
Don't tell my drill sergeant. So if you notice, all of us in our video, we all have beards. We do a fundraiser. Chief Tabek started it. We grow beards we're allowed to grow beards for 4 months. We donate money each month, and we pick a charity and donate each month to a charity. So I have had to shave since I was 17 for the Army and then police work. So that they let me do it once, I'm going to go with it.
Turning into an Officer Curtin love fest is what this is turning into.
Officer Curtin, what's your charity?
This year we're doing, it's called something Towers. It's for fallen law enforcement officers and their families. I don't remember the name. Officer Battaglia found it, and we all agreed on it. And then last year we did ALS. We lost dispatcher Patty Cook to Lou Gehrig's disease, so we made a donation in her name. So this is only the second year we've done it. So.
Any other questions? Any other comments?
I think
Rich Warfield, I see you.
I think Rich Warfield has a question that he'd like to ask just about general policing.
Yeah, Jim, and once again, like everybody else has said, thank you for your dedication and your protection of our community. We really appreciate that. This is a question that a bunch of people ask, and you just kick it around, and we don't know the answer because we're all, we go to our office and do our work and sit down. You have to be trained to expect the unexpected in your daily events. When you see on the news where, like more recently, guys, coming after 2 policemen with a knife and like, it's not some situation that I want to be in. I don't think anybody else wants to be in that situation, but you hear all they shot him in the chest. Why don't they shoot him in the leg? Are you trained to just shoot to kill, or what's the mentality? Are you even allowed to answer that question?
No, I can. We're trained to stop the threat. I was a sniper on Metro SWAT team for about 10 years, and even with that, it is very hard to hit a body, let alone a leg and an arm. And they also, impress on us when we're at the firing range. We're responsible for every round that we discharge. So even the misses, and there's been cases, few, but there have been cases, of rounds going astray and hitting, an innocent person, and that's aiming at a torso. So to hit an arm or a leg, I think you're going to start seeing a lot more de-escalation training for police. A lot more taking a little bit more time. Now, I'm lucky. I work in the city of Hudson. I'm not 10 calls deep, trying to get to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. I might handle some. We have the time to work on the de-escalation part of it. If someone's having a mental health crisis or something like that. Some of these bigger cities, they're behind the times. I 100% think that there's a change that needs to be made. I don't think we can go into policing anymore like they did in the 70s and the 80s. And, I definitely have way more mental health crisis training than my dad and my uncles have. With the shooting, it happens so quick. And, we now with cameras everywhere, we can go back and watch it, in slow motion or, 80 times to see what's happening. But you really only have about three quarters of a second to react to something. And, I think there's quite a few of these that could have been avoided with some newer techniques. And we're going to start seeing them. They're starting to come out now. Just like everything else, it's kind of slower. But I think it's a change that law enforcement needs to make the adjustments. But again, like I said, I work in Hudson. We haven't had, a whole lot. We always have enough that keeps us on our toes. But to get to your base of your question, it is extremely hard to hit a person, let alone try to aim for the arm and the legs. And the ones that we see on TV is a pretty lucky shot if they are aiming for it.
Thank you for your comment.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, just to follow up on that, and I know that actually there are thousands of instances where force is not used, but those videos don't go viral. I'm just wondering if your military training helps you keep calm in a tense situation.
I think not so much the training, more of the experience, being exposed to stuff like that, shot at, mortar attack, stuff like that. Your shot at, mortar attack kind of raises your level a little bit to when you come back and you're going to an alarm drop. It's, you're cautious, but it's not the panic that, you had then. Actually, the military has taken quite a lot of training from law enforcement side for, the shoot, no shoot techniques, because you went from infantry, where their job is to kill and destroy and take objectives and stuff like that to, not shooting and detaining and using less than lethal stuff. And the civilian side, we grab more medical lessons learned and stuff like that. So I've actually, when I went to Iraq, I was a police officer. I probably dealt into more of those skills than I did than what the Army trained me on at the time. But it's also been, 17 years. So I know the training has changed since. I just haven't been a part of it.
All right.
Well, thank you very, very much for your service, service in the military, as well as your service here. I also am a spouse of a career military officer, and I was around for all of it. And we joined the Air Force in 1972. at the conclusion, when Vietnam was beginning to wind down. My husband actually served in the Far East, although his place of location was Thailand, Utapao, Thailand. He was, as he said, babysitting a B-52 while Henry Kissinger was in Paris negotiating the peace. I was very concerned because I knew that the pilot of his crew had actually been part of a sortie where the B-52 ahead of him went down and the B-52 behind him was shot down. And so, I had all of these fears, only to understand that his duties in Thailand were primarily to work on his suntan and learn how to parasail. So he went through jungle training, all sorts of survival training in order to have that privilege. But we have many, many stories. And I'd like to kind of close today with what happened in his retirement. John, you've often pointed to the flag that you have in your office that was your father's.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my father was a Navy enlisted person in World War II. My husband, of course, was 20 years in the Air Force, and I'm the mother of an an Army infantryman. And I want to thank the service for growing that boy up and doing things for him that I could not do. He was a very immature 18-year-old when he entered, and when he exited 4 years later, he was a very changed person. The first thing that he had done, actually, the best thing that they did for him was introduce him to a library in a way that I could not. When he was in Germany, stationed remotely and ran out of money, he had no one who would give him money. And so therefore he found the library and found John Steinbeck and actually read everything that Steinbeck wrote and then started on other authors. And that led to a lifelong career in reading and teaching. So I'm very grateful for that experience for that boy. But when my husband was getting ready to retire, we knew it was coming. And I did something that I don't know that anyone else had ever done, but I secured a flag that had flown from our congressman, and I sent it to every base that my husband served on, from Grand Forks, North Dakota to Korea, with a letter asking the base commander to please fly it and give me documentation that it had flown. It flew in Grand Forks, North Dakota on the day that SAC was decommissioned. And the Strategic Air Command, of course, was the major command that controlled the B-52s. And I got the most lovely letter. Now, the other thing is that in 2012, that same flag draped his coffin. So it's very meaningful to me. And somehow I have to decide which of the three boys is going to get his flag. So before I tear up here, let's talk about what's going to happen next week. On November 18th, we have a really special meeting because we're going to introduce the newest Rotarians, Bill Libby, Chris Foster, and Pete Spacagna. John Adams will do the interviews, and we're really looking forward to getting to know these great guys more. We will also have a report from the Hudson High School Service Learning class. Again, a reminder that immediately following this, we will go directly into the club board meeting. But let's close in this way. At the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, World War I ended in 1918 and Veterans Day was founded. This has become a traditional day to dedicate memorials to fallen servicemen, including our own Tomb of the Unknown in the Arlington National Cemetery, which was done in 1921. The changing of the guard there is very, very special. You feel that you are in a holy place, and this is done 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. And if you've never been there, I suggest that you go before you leave this earth. In 1984, Ronald Reagan received the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, that beautiful wall in Washington. And in 1983, the Vietnam Women's Memorial was dedicated to honor the more than 11,000 women who served in the Vietnam War. And I'll close out with this poem that I think many of us learned in grade school. I hope they still do. It's called In Flanders Field. In Flanders Field, the poppies blow between the crosses row on row that mark our place in the sky, the larks still bravely singing, flying, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago, we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow. Loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from fallen hands we throw. The torch be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders field. It was always part of our family's tradition that the flag went up at our home on Memorial Day, and it came down on Veterans Day. It is now my tradition that every Veterans Day I visit the Cemetery of the Western Reserve, and it is a most beautiful and comforting place. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week for a really exciting program. Thank you.